Well, I'll go ahead and hit us off. But hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining Calling All Nerds, your friendly Nerd Alert podcast. We are excited to have you all here today. We sent out the beacon and you came and entered into the conversation, and we have a doozy of a of a conversation to have tonight. Definitely not the conversation I thought we were going to have for
No,
our last
not at all.
podcast of the year.
Not
But
at all.
honestly, it is 2020, so I guess we're par for the course at this point. So, uh, as sad as that is, I did not imagine what we're going to talk about tonight is actually happening, which is absolutely sad and kind of ridiculous all at the same time. But I'm so excited to have everyone join here. I believe this is episode 8, if
This
I'm not
is, yep.
mistaken. It is our final show of the year. And I am really excited because we're going to be starting out fresh after the new year with possibly new ideas, new things that we're going to be bringing to the table to just make this show more and more great every single week. But I wanted to do a quick rundown of all of our topics tonight. It's probably going to be a long one. But then, Tyler, I don't know if you had a question of the week or that you came up in mind with, but I'm going to let you come up with something while I run down what we're going to talk about tonight.
All right, sounds good.
So for everyone listening tonight, our main topics are, of course, the cyberpunk snafu that has just been happening over the last 7 days. It is we're basically just going to be touching on all that. I'm going to basically run down everything that's happened in the last few days. I really want to hear Tyler's opinion on the matter, his experience with playing the game, as well as what we think may happen in the future. After that, we are going to be talking about the Game Award results, as well as reveals for Super Smash Brothers and game announcements that really caught our eye. And then finally, from our main topics, we're going to be talking about Twitch ban words, which I don't know much about Twitch, but Tyler has stated that there are a few words that Twitch has now banned. I'm very interested to hear
It's
what
definitely
that's
our
all about.
funniest. I would say that's our funniest topic of the night.
Yeah, probably. But I'm really excited to hear about it. And then, of course, for those of you that are listening for the first time, we talk about games we are playing as well as upcoming games that are coming out in the next few weeks. And then we are going to be talking about our entertainment of the week, where we provide something out to our nerd family of things that we really enjoy. It could be books, it could be shows, movies, games, board games, what have you. Anything that you think is nerdy, we talk about it here. But I wanted to go ahead and move it over to Tyler and see if you have, for those of you out there, you kind of get to know us from, we kind of throw questions out to each other and kind of see what we come up with in learning more about each other and what we love about the industry.
Yeah, so this one, man. So the one thing that I was curious about is we both know, and for those who might be listening don't know, Max and I are definitely big PlayStation fans. We love the PlayStation lineup, not just the games, honestly, just the consoles. We love the consoles. We obviously love the games too. Definitely more leaning on the PlayStation side. So I don't know if I've asked you this, but which of the four, because neither of us have been able to get the 5, but what was your favorite PlayStation console? Did you like the PS1, 2, 3, or 4 the most? Like, which one did you find that, like, wow, I just had the most fun with this one?
Oh, man. That's really hard.
I know.
I feel like I feel like there's almost two answers for me, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I feel like in terms of how far gaming has come, and just the story, just the crafting of stories that PlayStation Studios have been able to provide me, I feel like PS4 is top tier. I feel like I've just had so many incredible experiences playing on my PS4 than I ever had on any other console.
Yeah.
And that's all because of just the masterful work that they've done with their first parties. I mean, I could count. I feel like I could almost count out 10 great games that would make buying this console worth it. I mean, you got God of War, you got Spider-Man, you got Final Fantasy VII Remake, Persona 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, even though that's not technically a first party, but you get what I'm saying. Like there's so many phenomenal PlayStation exclusive games that really made the PS4 just honestly the best generation of gaming I think I've had ever. Um, but I also want to say the PS2 because PS2 is honestly kind of what got me really captivated with gaming. You know, before the PS2, I always played um, Nintendo 64 and GameCube, and those are really fun games. But really, when it comes to story and really what I love about gaming now, the PS2 is kind of what brought me into that place with
Yeah.
Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts and gosh, so many great PS2 titles, and it just kind of developed my love for gaming all the more. So I would say it's split between PS2 and PS4.
Okay.
But yeah, what about you, man?
Um, I would say the PS2 is definitely mine.
Nice.
PS2 is like my gateway drug in a way. Like PS2, that's what really got me into gaming. I've talked in the past. The first games I played was like Mario on the NES, and then I had a. Did I have a GameCube before? You know, I don't think I had a GameCube. I think I went from an NES to a PS1. But on the PS1, we didn't buy games. We just bought like those. We just had that demo CD that came with the PS1. It had like a, you know, I think it was like a Marvel Capcom demo on there. It had Going Commando
Yeah.
demo on there. It was stuff like
I
that. And
think
so that was like my intro to getting to some more games. But then when I got a PS2, that's when I got Sly Cooper, Jack and Daxter. I still only had a Going Commando like demo, which was really annoying because I've actually never played that one. But the PS2 opened up myself of actually getting games. Killzone, I was huge on Killzone. I was playing all of the Medal of Honor games. So PS2, that was my gateway drug into gaming for sure. So I would say that one has been my favorite. And another thing about, I guess, Sony consoles in general, they just last, man. Like I could still boot up my PS2, it still goes strong. I have a PS1, it still goes really strong. My PS3 brick, that thing could probably crack skulls. That thing's still doing great. Good consoles.
They're very sturdy. That's for sure, man. They build them like you said. They build them to last, and I appreciate that.
Oh, they do. I went through 3 Xbox 360s. No joke. 2 of them got Red Ring of Death. The third one sitting in my closet. But I had that many red rings on those Xbox 360s. I don't know if it was just me with like bad luck, but I had a hard time when it came to getting or playing on Xbox. That was
Dang.
It was annoying, you know.
Oh yeah, dude. I know. I think a lot of that does come down to bad luck, unfortunately. But at the same time, the Red Ring of Death was pretty common back in the 360 era. So it's honestly not too surprising.
Yep. And the reason why I asked about which was the favorite PlayStation console was because it kind of ties into what has been going on with Cyberpunk. There's a lot. There is a ton.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, you and I, we've been talking about Cyberpunk since we started the podcast. On episode 1, it has been I wouldn't say a main topic every podcast, but it has been a strong topic, at least on most of our podcasts. And it's funny, I'm reading our notes right now, and I love I love the title that Max gave this section. Is just called Cyberpunk Disaster. And the one thing, I guess, like, to kind of briefly overall talk about it, if you don't know, there has been a lot of issues with Cyberpunk. We'll go through a lot of them. The one thing that kind of been catching my eye is how it is reacting on consoles, how it is being played on PS4s, even PS5s, I think, Xboxes, Series X and regular Xbox One X's and all that jazz. And it's weird. I mean, the game doesn't look playable when you're on a console, like, at all. And it's just, I don't know. It's just strange. So that's why I was asking you what your favorite one was. And it's kind of funny that you mentioned that the PS4 is your favorite. Because, like, that's the one where I'm seeing the biggest hiccups on, is on the PS4.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've seen dozens and dozens of videos now within the last 7 to 8 days of just images of live gameplay of the PS4 version, and it just looks nothing like the PC version at all. Like
Yep.
it was like just didn't even care, or that it just didn't even register to them that they were releasing something in this state, which I can't imagine was the case. But I mean, we can definitely talk about that because there's definitely a lot more to go with PlayStation there for sure within the last 24 hours. But I wanted to ask you, Tyler, just in regards to just this huge thing, would you like me to do like a quick rundown of all the events that have taken place since the release of this game?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think
then
that would be good.
we can dive into it and talk about
Yeah.
this. This is not at all how I thought we were going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077, and I'm
No.
so sad it is.
No. Yeah.
But okay, so here's the deal, guys. So Cyberpunk 2077 reviews started going out for this game, I believe on the 8th. Because of the embargo set by CD Projekt Red, they said that you could only review, or that gaming influencers, people that had review copies of the game that were posting reviews, IGN, Polygon, what have you, they were only allowed to put out reviews for the PC version of the game, and were only allowed to show B-roll footage. You could not even show your live streaming version of the game in your review.
Which B rolls like fancy, they make it look good,
Right.
for anybody who may not
Make
know.
it look good footage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting. And even in the reviews themselves of the game, the reviewers were they said that they'd never seen anything like this before. They were like, this is very odd. I don't know why we can't show you any of our gameplay, but here it is. And, most of the reviews for the PC were really good. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. Pretty much reviewers across the board. Honestly, this game works really well on PC for the most part, outside of the bugs and the glitches that people have already talked about. The game crashes, but it does look good. Like if you have a good PC setup, this game looks pretty decent. And it got overwhelmingly good reviews, and things were looking up. Things were looking pretty exciting. But people just thought it was weird that they didn't allow for reviewers to show, or no one even had a review copy of the console versions of the games. Everyone only got PC. You could only review console the day that the game was released. And so here's where it gets crazy. So this game came out on the 10th, right? It was like December 10th. Is that right, Tyler?
It was the 11th. That was the Friday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the 11th.
Oh, okay, yeah. So PC, if you were Eastern time, it came out 12 a.m. I forgot what the global time was. For East Coast, that ended up being, I think, 7:30. So yes,
that's right.
some PC people, depending on where you were in the world, you could play it on the 10th, but it did technically go out globally at 12 a.m. I can't remember what the time was, but for anybody with a console, it was definitely the 11th.
Okay, cool. So it's been about literally a week from today.
Yeah,
this game was released, and the game was released, and the internet exploded. People immediately posted videos of their gameplay within the PS4 saying it was unplayable. The bugs were just crashing their game here and there. The graphics were less than 720p. There was this blurring effect across the board. It looked a little bit better on the PS5 or the Xbox One X, but on the base consoles themselves, this game was not running great. Even the graphics looked completely different from what we've seen before. And so people got really upset, and they started posting, "We've been lied to." Of course, they didn't show the base console version of this game until the release date. They didn't want people to start refunding their pre-orders. They basically lied to the public, saying, during all of this, CD Projekt Red keeps posting tweets about, oh, we made profit in a day. The most pre-ordered game of all time. We sold 8 million copies in one day, which is a huge deal. Like that's huge.
Was
But at the same
true.
time, they're
Definitely wasn't a
yeah,
lie.
they're saying things like, "Oh yeah, it's not a lie. The lie was that you sold the game that was not ready to be sold." So that's great right there.
Gosh, that makes me laugh. I didn't know they were saying that. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
like on their Twitter, they were saying things like, "We made a profit in one day." Isn't that
Oh
amazing?
gosh, that bugs me.
Oh yeah. And
If that hurts you, I'm on your side. I just want anybody listening to know that if that's hurting you too, you're not alone.
So here's the thing. So that happened over the weekend. Everyone started clamoring about this. It was becoming a huge deal. CD Projekt Red's stock dropped 28% within that 48-hour period.
Holy.
Since, as of today, CD Projekt Red has dropped 33% in their stock, which means that they have lost
Whoa.
all of their gains from this year.
Dang.
That's insane. That's like something that could destroy a company.
Mad Max bringing down the numbers. Holy.
And so here's what happened on the 14th, on Monday, Tyler's birthday. Happy birthday with this response here. This is what CD Projekt Red released. Dear gamers, and I'm reading this from this was from their Twitter account, sent from all of the upper management, which honestly, most of these upper managers, I would be kind of shocked if they're still around at CD Projekt Red after this whole thing.
Which, as always, links and everything are in the description. If you're watching live or post, just to let you know, you can follow along.
Yes. And so this says, Dear gamers, first of all, we would like to start by apologizing to you for not showing the game on base last-gen consoles before it premiered, and in consequence, not allowing you to make a more decision about your purchase. We should have paid more attention to making it play better on PS4 and Xbox One, the two consoles that this game was going to be placed on outside of PC. So they're basically admitting that they did not pay attention to how the game was playing on 60% of their gaming people's platforms.
Yep.
So that's great. Second, we will fix bugs and crashes and improve the overall experience. The first round of updates have just been released, and the next one is coming within the next 7 days. Expect more, as we will update frequently whenever new improvements are ready. After the holidays, we'll continue working. We'll release 2 large patches, starting with patch 1 in January, followed by patch 2 in February. And together, these should fix the most prominent problems gamers are facing on last-gen consoles. We will also be informing you about the contents of each patch ahead of their release. They won't make the game on last gen look like it's running on a high-spec PC or next-gen console, but it will be closer to that experience than it is now. Finally, we would always like everyone who buys our games to be satisfied with their purchase. We would appreciate it if you would give us a chance, but if you are not pleased with the game on your console and don't want to wait for updates, you are opt to refund your copy. For copies purchased digitally, please use the refund system of PSN or Xbox respectively. For box versions, please first try to get a refund at the store where you bought the game. Should this not be possible, please contact us at helpmerefund@cdprojectred.com, and we will do our best to help you. Starting from today, you can contact us up to a week before September 21st. So basically they were saying, if you want to give us a chance, which honestly, the chance was us giving $60 to you for a game that we believed was ready to be launched. I'm a little salty, so I apologize for all of our viewers.
You're good.
I'm just very mad about how they dealt this out.
I know I haven't read this since the 14th, and I forgot about this post, and it's kind of re-triggering some feelings that I had.
Yeah, it's so tone deaf, and it was just one of those things where, and here's where it gets crazier, is they said to reach out to the PSN, Xbox to get your refunds. PlayStation Store, Microsoft Store kind of came back and they said, no, you don't tell players how they can refund their game. If a player has downloaded the game and started playing it, they cannot get a refund. That's always been the PlayStation Store's policy.
Yeah.
And so people were reaching out to PlayStation over the last few days saying, I want a refund for this game. It's broken. It's janky. Like, I want my money back. And PlayStation was saying, no, like that is not our policy. I don't know why they told you that, but they did not inform us that they were going to say something like that. People were posting their conversations on support from PlayStation, and it became such a hostile thing that finally, as of 24 hours ago, PlayStation has removed Cyberpunk 2077 from the PS Store until further notice. And I got this article from IGN, written by Jonathan Dornbush. And the full statement reads: all copies of the game previously purchased digitally on PlayStation Store remained available for use for their respective buyers. But the decision was undertaken following our discussion with SIE America regarding a full refund for all gamers who have purchased Cyberpunk 2077 via PlayStation Store and want a refund at this time. And they basically said that to ensure a high level of customer satisfaction, we will begin to offer a full refund to all gamers who have purchased this game. And once we have confirmed that you purchased Cyberpunk 2077 via PlayStation Store, we will begin processing your refund. And here's what's crazy is you can now not find Cyberpunk 2077 on the PlayStation Store. Now, when you search that, it literally pulls up Cyberpunk 2077 refund.
Wow.
And so I have no idea how CD Projekt Red is so colossally messing this up and they just keep shooting themselves in the foot. But, they've basically now burned a bridge with PlayStation in a lot of ways. Is they released a game that was not ready to be released on their store and made them the bad guys. Like, basically players just kept, like, being gamers as we are, were attacking PlayStation. And probably what happened was PlayStation was like, forget this, we're done. Like, we're not going to sell this game anymore. Like, this is too much work. And they completely pulled it, delisted it from the PlayStation Store, which is unheard of. I've never seen anything like this take place in my life, other than maybe 4 other times where a game is literally unplayable. And it's a huge blow because now CD Projekt Red has lost 1/3 of its gaming audience in terms of how you can purchase the game.
That's nuts, especially like what you're talking about with their investments and everything and how that's struggling. That's wild.
And it just gets crazier from there. Microsoft is now allowing refunds as well. They haven't pulled it from their store, but they're allowing people to refund it there too. Cyberpunk or CD Projekt Red has responded and said, they're going to be trying their best and working to get this back on the store as soon as humanly possible. But, that's the latest update in all of this. And, other than, it's just such a mess. I just cannot believe that they allowed this to happen. And it really, to me, just kind of screams poor management, poor leadership over there. Like, I don't know how they thought they could get away with this. They basically admitted that they released a game that they knew would not be ready for consoles. I don't know how they didn't think the shoe would drop. And they even said, that they didn't go through cert when it came to the whole thing that was happening with the seizures for the brain dances. I don't know if you heard about that, but, there was a reviewer, I believe, for Game Informer who had a seizure while playing the game during one of the brain dance sequences.
Jeez.
And basically during her review, she mentioned that.
Yeah.
And CD Projekt Red, like, they fixed it within 24 hours. Of course, they had to legally. But they basically admitted that they didn't even get this passed through cert, which is such a red flag for businesses to even sell the game. So it really burns yet another bridge for them with PlayStation and Microsoft of being like, we can't trust you anymore. Like,
yeah. And it's kind of an interesting thing too, because like the one thing about like the seizure warnings and all that kind of jazz, it's kind of like Cyberpunk in general is a very flashy topic. I don't mean Cyberpunk the game. I mean like Cyberpunk, like that theme, right? Is a very flashy theme. It's like going to a rave party and it's just pinks and greens and blues and it's flashing lights and all that kind of jazz. And
Synth music, yeah.
yeah, and that's like what you expect, right? Like you expect that, and I'm kind of surprised that they claim that they didn't even like go through any of that for at least like the brain dance stuff, because you would think
Right.
that game would have just a plethora of instances where they should be scanning and making sure that they have seizure warnings for certain areas, because it's literally the whole
Right.
game. It's just like that. I mean, opening sequences, there's like a B-roll footage thing that happens during the game where you're in a party, you're in here, and it's flashing light. It's just kind of wild to me that that's a thing that they missed. I don't, I don't really get that.
That's kind of where I kind of, and sorry if I didn't make it clear, that kind of ends my history of the last week of this craziness with this game. But
Yeah,
you're right, Tyler. Like I just cannot believe the ineptitude of how this rolled out. Like how did how did they think this would be okay? Is my whole thing, because like it's like they realized, we honestly, I hope one day we'll know the full story. Um, I don't know if we'll know it for quite a while, but to me, it just screams that on the executive level, this was a game that they were not willing to delay any longer due to some kind of financial whatever. And basically said, we're releasing this game. It works great on PC, or it works fine on PC. Don't worry about the consoles right now. We'll deal with that later. Just get the game out.
yeah. It definitely seems like
And
there was some
now,
pretty annoying political mumbo jumbo.
yeah, it sounds like there's a, and we even see it in the responses. Like we're getting these responses from CD Projekt Red from like the highest ups, like the executives of this company, that are saying these things that are so tone deaf, so just anti-gamer. So just like, are you kidding? Like how are you responding like this and making statements that you can't back up? And it really just kind of screams to me that this, as sad as it is, because I love the CD Projekt Red that gave us Witcher 3.
Yeah,
This is obviously not that same CD Projekt Red.
yeah,
And I think what really breaks my heart is the developers. This isn't their fault. Like, they weren't given enough time to fully, they weren't given the right management to develop this game the way that they needed to develop it. They didn't get the more time that they needed. This game needed 6 more months in the oven. Um,
oh,
and
easy,
so
easy.
easy, right?
Yeah,
Even on PC. I
yeah,
mean,
oh
even
yeah,
though this game is like playable and is apparently on PC, like for people that have high-end PCs, this is a great game to go through. Other than the bugs, but like that, any game has bugs, but an excessive number of bugs, I would imagine. But now they're kind of in the front lines of all this hate that's coming to CD Projekt Red. And we're entering the holidays next week, and they probably are going to have to work all the harder now of just fixing all these issues that they warned their managers probably about in the first place. Um, like, I have an article from Bloomberg here, and I wanted to read just a moment of it if it's okay. This was written by Jason Schreier at Bloomberg. It says Cyberpunk game maker faces hostile staff after failed launch. This was made today. Rebellion is in the air at Polish video game publisher CD Projekt Red SA after the company's highly anticipated and thrice delayed latest title was released into scathing reviews about glitches. Frustrated and angry staff fired questions at the board during an internal video meeting Thursday that opened with management apologizing for 2077's disastrous launch. According to two people who were present, it was a fitting atmosphere for a company whose slogan plastered on posters all around its Warsaw offices, "We are rebels." Developers asked blunt questions about the company's reputation, the game's unrealistic deadlines, and the relentless overtime in the months and years leading up to the game's December 10th release. The meeting took place before Sony's Corp's shocking announcement that it was pulling 2077 from the PlayStation Store and will offer full refunds to any customer who requests one. During the staff meeting, CD Projekt director said that they had come to an arrangement with Sony but didn't offer specifics. And they said, following our discussion with PlayStation, a decision was made to temporarily suspend digital distribution of the game. And so even the developers are upset with their management. And it really, and I know I'm talking a lot, and I'm going to shut up, and I want to hear what you feel about all of this and your experience with the game itself, because I know that you said you're trying to get a refund now. But one, I don't know what's going to happen to this company. The fact that developers are even really upset and firing back at their management levels, it really screams to me, is this company about to fold, or are they in big trouble, or do they need to completely reinvent their structure? Um, can they bounce back from this? I hope they can. I feel like they could. And I kind of feel like this game is kind of this franchise, if this was going to be a multi-style game, like a sequel or whatever, 2097, whatever, I feel like it's dead. Like, I feel like this game is never
Yeah.
gonna have like a sequel or anything like that. This is gonna be a game that like is a cautionary tale for developers for years and years to come. No one has ever seen anything like this, and that is why the spotlight is shining on them and will not move away, is because every day this just gets worse. And a new ripple of this, a new really grimy and kind of illegal thing that they've done is shed more light on, and it's fascinating, but at the same time it's just utterly just soul destroying in a lot of ways, because this was the company that people were saying this is the best gamer company. We even said that,
Oh yeah.
over the last, like in November
Yep.
and October, every time we did a podcast, we were saying CD Projekt Red is a company that loves gamers. They know what to do right, and they've just completely destroyed fan goodwill and trust within a week. Um, and they're paying for it. And it's just so sad to see how this went down.
Yeah. Definitely tough trying to unpack everything that has been going on in the last week, revolving around the game. And I guess like, so one thing I want to kind of, or there's like two things I want to kind of state, because I'm going to get into kind of my experiences, because I did buy it. I had it through GOG, and I was playing it on PC. My specs are pretty solid, and I have a request out right now to get a refund for the game. So I kind of want to talk about that, but I want to kind of say two things before to kind of, I guess, set the tone a little bit on kind of why I am doing this request in the first place. So one, last week on a personal level was a very tough week for me. I won't go into details, but it was an extremely rough week, with just some stuff going on with my family. So my head definitely was not, I would say, in the right space. By no means. So I kind of want to say that is kind of like where my head was at going into this game. And then second, I knew that of the two games, Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk, I knew that I would still like Witcher 3 more than Cyberpunk. I just knew it. I say that because it's like how I compare Skyrim and Fallout. I'm not trying to compare Cyberpunk and Witcher to those two games. More of just the overall style of the two games. Fallout is your post-apocalyptic first-person shooter kind of style with guns and everything's futuristic, right? And then Skyrim is your magic, your swordplay, monsters, dragons, demons, brewing potions, blah 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 blah. I love fantasy. I am a massive fan of fantasy. I read fantasy. I love playing fantasy games. I love watching fantasy shows. So I already knew that of the two CD Projekt Red games, Witcher and the Cyberpunk series, I already knew, yeah, Witcher's going to be my go-to still. Cyberpunk wasn't
Right.
going to change and just be my new, I wasn't going to like it more than Witcher. So that's also another thing. I kind of just wanted to like set that tone. This is kind of where my head is at going into it, which, the family stuff, that was rough. And that could also be a big reason as to why I wasn't too happy about it. Emotions were already kind of high. I started out having a pretty hard time playing the game. With me, and this is about to sound so privileged, and I apologize to anyone, but when I play games that are first person shooters specifically and they're not in 60 frames, I get very bad motion sickness. I don't know why. It's just what happens. It's very tough. I don't know if it's because of extreme motion sickness or something, but when I play video games that aren't in 60 frames, I just get sick, and it's weird. I know it sounds weird. It's just, I don't know. I guess it's just how it is. And with my specs, which I would definitely call decently high end, I was having a pretty hard time getting to those 60 frames. I eventually did, so that was cool. That was a big roadblock for me. I was already kind of pissed, but I got past that roadblock, so I started playing the game. And there was a lot of things that was kind of bothering me. One big thing, though, that it's not even just Cyberpunk that does it. When I hear a game company is just doing something annoying to like other gamers, and it's not affecting me. I don't have it on the PS4. I don't have it on the Xbox. But the fact that I knew that was happening, it just wouldn't leave my mind. It's just, I don't know if it's like my
experience.
yeah, like I don't know if it's my personality of like, when I know people are in pain, I like feel for it. Or when, you know, when I'm in a room and I try to feel out the room and stuff. I just like, when I know people are hurting, it bothers me too. And when I knew that like people were just having just an awful experience with it, I just get annoyed. Like I don't support that. Like if a company is doing what they were doing with this whole console release, that just bothers me. It makes me not want to support it. I've done it for old games in the past, like Genshin Impact. I was talking about how excited I was for it. Then I found out it was a gacha game, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I don't support gacha games. I'm not a fan of extreme microtransactions. I can't play the game no matter how great of an experience it is. It's just how I feel. And so when I heard that all this stuff was going on with it, it just bothered me to where I am not enjoying the game, because it hurts knowing that I can enjoy it, but someone else can't just because they don't have the right like console to play it. And it bothers me more because this game was supposed to go out on a PS4 and an Xbox and a PC, like only, not a PS5, not a series. Like it was planned for the PS4, for the Xbox One series, and just a PC. And knowing that I could play it and that all these other people are having a hard time makes me just have a pretty rough time. So I've just been going back and forth. There was also a lot of surprising things about the game that just kind of shocked me. This is a spoiler-free discussion, by the way, so I won't blow anything for Max. I'm not going to blow anything for anybody listening. But I just wanted to say that there were also some parts in the game that I guess I didn't realize was going to happen. Some of it being your character V. I don't connect to them at all. I do not feel connected to V. I don't know if it's because it's first person and the person has voice acting. Usually that's a big disconnect for me. Like, I don't know. Do you think this is weird? Picture this, right? You can create V however you want. I mean, people, if you've seen the memes, people are recreating Peter Griffin. They're making like SpongeBob or what's the Squidward? They're literally like recreating them in the game, but your voice is still always V, either male or female. And to me, that's a weird disconnect. If I'm in a first person game, I don't want there to be voice acting. I want it just to be dialogue that I read, because then it feels like me. Does that make sense?
No, I definitely feel you. I don't think it would bother me as much, but I can understand where you're coming from with that for sure.
I think, yeah, so that was like one little immersion break that I was getting throughout the game. And then I just felt like every time I was trying to do something serious, a massive bug ruined the whole experience. There is a part in the first act of the game that is supposed to be sad. All right, I'm just going to say that. It's supposed to be sad. I had such a game-breaking bug that I didn't even get to see what was happening that was supposed to be sad because it bugged out on me. I just kind of heard some stuff, but I didn't get to see it. And I was like, okay, well, that was some immersion breaking. And then another time, I'm talking to, our boy Johnny Silverhand, Keanu Reeves. The guy's not the best at acting. He's all right. You kind of watch Keanu for the action, and so
Oh, for sure.
I'm having this conversation with him, and then all of a sudden his head transformed into a gun, and he bugged out. And I found that what was happening was his head shot back like 700 feet, and then somehow someone walked in front of him and their gun like went on top. It was weird. So I've just been having nonstop like immersion breaking bugs, on top of the fact that I already am kind of like, I don't feel too immersed because I made a character to be me, but it's not me. I don't, my personality, I cannot put my personality into my character that well. I don't sound like myself for another thing. And then anytime I do something, the game just bugs out. And I know that like a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, like the bugs fix themselves. I think I'm just getting a lemon of a game. Because some people have worse bugs than others, and I think I'm on that end of where my game is just bugging like crazy. And I'm on PC. I'm having audio issues. My car is flying all over the place. People are teleporting and I can't even attack them. I can't pick crap up on the ground. I'm trying to complete quests, but I can't talk to the guy because there's another interface that's blocking it, and someone does. Like, I'm actually having the worst time I've ever done on a video game, and it's driving me bonkers. And so that, my friends, is my 10-minute spiel as to why I requested a refund. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
No, thank you for sharing that, Tyler, because I wanted to know what happened to get you to that place. Just because I knew that, at least just from hearing it on my end as someone who has not played it yet, that PC is really the only way you can virtually make it playable without it just completely bonking out. But I knew that there were still issues there. And like, that's the thing I also want to preface too, is like, we're not trying to just hate on this game. Like, this was a game that we were both like super excited about.
Mm-hmm.
It's still honestly a game that I am excited about. Like, at some point, I hope in the next year I get to play a finished version of this game, because there's a really cool world to discover here already. But you hear all like you said, Tyler, it just puts a bad taste in your mouth. Like, just what's happening for gamers, the griminess of it, of just holding back this copy that you knew was not ready for the public to purchase, but you still had them purchase it anyway. And I just feel bad for the developers too, because they knew this wasn't ready. It probably wasn't their decision to release this. It never really is. They just build the thing, and they needed more time. And they made an incredible, in a lot of ways. It's just these bugs are killing it, like you said. And I hear a lot of talk about how there isn't a lot of world consistency, where like apparently the main story is very it's very important. Like, it's not something that you should be taking your time with. From what I've been told, like, the story is very immediate. It's like, you need to get this done now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like, at the same time, you go and do a side quest, and it's like V becomes a completely different character.
Yep.
And so there's just inconsistency, apparently. I could be talking out of my butt, but just from what I've heard, there's a lot of inconsistency between who V is during the main story and who V is in side quests, and how he interacts with other people.
Very accurate.
And that is just such a turnoff for me too, because that's something that is such a bad thing for an RPG. Like an art, like this is like RPGs, everything should be interconnected. It is a living, breathing world. There needs to be that consistency for your character. In The Witcher 3, there was that consistency. You were Geralt of Rivia, You were the best monster killer in the world, and like you literally everywhere you went, you were Geralt, no matter what. Like
Yeah.
you treated people exactly as you expected Geralt to treat them.
Yep.
Yes, you got to make decisions, but it was always a decision that was believable for your
You
character.
knew who you were doing. Like you were playing
Right.
Geralt. Like they
You
made
were
that
playing
clear.
Geralt.
It's like this is who you play as.
Right. And it's just with this game, it's like they kind of it kind of goes back to my point of mismanagement. And keep talking about this for much longer because I don't want to take up all of our time on it, but I just feel like the mismanagement even comes in the game levels of what they were trying to build. It just seems like there wasn't any consistency in the story that they were trying to tell. And it just felt very juvenile in a
Yeah.
lot of ways from what I was hearing. And even just some of the jokes that they were making about transgender people and not jokes, but like over sexualization apparently
Yeah.
is really gross. And it's like it's kind of tone deaf to
Yeah.
today's world and like how we should be respectful to people of all types. And it's just like how did this game come out like this? I don't understand how they thought this was going to end well for them.
Yeah, I think the consistency that you're mentioning is a great way to sum up kind of like my immersion break. I would say like if I had like a top three of why I'm why I'm trying to return this game, like number one being I really just don't support kind of how they've done this release. That's the big one. Number two is definitely a lack of immersion, and the number three would be the bugs. I mean, the consistency it spreads through so much that's not just how V acts or like how he is, like you said, on the main story versus the sub story. There's a lot of little things that get put into that as well. Like, since it is a voice acted game, and I want to make this clear. I do not blame the voice actor themselves because I know they just go through a director and they're just said to, read words and then someone approves and all that kind of stuff. There's so many times where like I'll be in a conversation with somebody and all of a sudden I choose a dialogue option and my character sounds like he's far away or his whole demeanor just changes. Like I could have a very serious conversation, and then I could read. So what are you buying? And it's just like, whoa, where'd that come from? Like, why did your tone just change? And then he goes back to normal, and it's like these are the little things that I'm like, why? Like, where's the consistency? Like, why was I just about to cry, and then you changed myself to like a totally just copy and pasted voice line, and then went back to like another. It's just weird. And you see that a lot.
That's not ready. Yeah, it's a game that's not ready.
And that, if you see our thumbnail right now on YouTube, we kind of made a meme out of it, of V looking in the mirror saying, "I'm ready when I'm ready," which was the biggest thing for CD Projekt Red. And I think that they kind of shot themselves in their own foot. They teased this game and we're saying, yeah, it'll be ready when it's ready. There's no release date. This was, years before, right? No release date. It's ready when it's ready. And then, I don't know, man, this past year happened and they had all the conferences going on. They got Twitch people or content creators in general just put into the game. They started doing the Nightwire stuff, the merchandise, hyping it up. And like, I feel like because of all that hype and all that, it drove the leadership to be like, we just got to pump it out because right now is peak. And if we don't do it now, the drive to want to buy it's going to go downhill because we can't keep riding this hype train. I think they just went up the hype train too early and they should have just kept on waiting. And I think that's the hardest part.
That is a great point, Tyler. I think you're exactly right. I think that they were riding this hype train. They were getting so engrossed with how amazing people believed this game would be. They weren't even considering what development was building and what they were still trying to accomplish and finish. And they were like, no, just release it, get it out. Because you're right. Like, I don't think, and honestly, in a way that's true. Like, say they delayed it another year and they have the money to do more of these marketing interactions with the public that they had, which were honestly brilliant public
Yeah.
interaction,
Yep.
um, they would not have gotten the pre-order sales and the sales that they had gotten
Yeah.
as
No,
they did.
definitely.
But at the same time, it just got really skeezy, and it got really like, we're going to push this game now no matter what, no matter if it doesn't pass cert, if it's not ready on consoles, we're just releasing it, and we're going to believe that our fans are going to buy it because they love CD Projekt Red and they love Cyberpunk, and they're going to play this game and accept it for what it is. And I don't know how in their heads they thought they could get away with it, because I'll tell you what, they are not. And this could potentially ruin their company. I hope to God it doesn't, but their leadership is going to have to change very, very much.
Yeah, we'll definitely be seeing how things go. Max introed this topic really well, saying this definitely wasn't the conversation that either of us wanted to have, nor thought that we were going to be having. But
we wanted to praise this game to the moon and back. We were wanting to say this was our game of the year.
Yeah. But I guess it is what it is. We keep pushing forward.
Yep.
It'll get patched. I mean, look at No Man's Sky. Same thing happened with No Man's Sky, right? Overpromised.
Yeah, the redemption story of that is incredible. I mean,
yeah. Now their game is like, dude, their game is fun, and CD Projekt Red will do fine. They'll get it. I don't know how they're gonna feel in their next game they make, but we shall see. The gaming world, you never know. But another fun thing happened. Game Awards. So, what day was that? That was also the 11th, wasn't it?
That was the 10th. It was the night before the release of Cyberpunk.
Oh, gotcha.
But yes, the Game Awards happened. I think a lot of the wins that night were to be expected in a lot of ways. But I wanted to ask you, Tyler, how do you want to go through that? Do you want me to kind of read off the list of winners for like the bigger items that we kind of care about, and then we'll kind of discuss?
Yeah, I think that would be best for sure.
Okay, cool. So as you all know, the Game Awards happened last Thursday night. It was actually a really great show. It wasn't super long, which I was thankful for.
Yeah, it was fast.
Yeah, it was only like I think like 2 hours at the most, where normally it's like 3.5. But here are the kind of the main games that I wanted to kind of discuss. But of course, Last of Us Part 2 kind of swept the major categories. Won Game of the Year, got Best Game Direction, Best Narrative, as well as Best Performance for Laura Bailey as Abby, which, Tyler, you called that, because I said I wanted it to be Ashley Johnson, Ellie. But Laura Bailey won it as Abby, which I'm still super happy about, because I mean, both of them were absolutely incredible.
Yep.
But yeah, it won Best Audio Design, and I believe won Best Action Adventure.
Innovative and accessibility as well.
Yeah, innovative and accessible. Yep, you're right.
I think that's the last one.
Yeah, and then Ghost of Tsushima won Best Art Direction. Best Score and Music went to Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I was so excited about. I really wanted that to win. And I think that was the only one it won, if I'm not mistaken. But it's fine. Best Action Game was Hades. And then Best Role Playing, of course, was Final Fantasy VII Remake, even though that totally should have gone to Persona 5 Royal. Persona never gets the love it deserves.
I know.
Man, it really doesn't. Best Family Game, of course, went to Animal Crossing New Horizons. And then that was really just the major ones, I would say. Overall, I was not that surprised by the winnings. I honestly kind of hoped that the Best Game award went to Hades, personally. But it makes sense that Last of Us Part 2 won. I am not completely shocked by it, but
I was hoping for Ghost of Tsushima on that one.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was another great game.
Only because I guess, like, in my mind, when you look at like what makes a good game, I guess like let's look at categories. Like, do they have any cool like new features, look, sound, story, all that kind of jazz? I kind of felt like Ghost of Tsushima did just as well as The Last of Us, and like kind of better in some cases. So it's kind of like, man, I was really cheering for Ghost of Tsushima. I feel like that one just like kind of came out of nowhere. But yeah,
From
you know,
Sucker Punch. Yeah.
yeah, because like
was,
I mean, I don't know. I guess because like when I think about a game of the year, I also think about oh, I'm surprised that this game was good. I guess it's kind of how I think of it. Like when I see Last of Us Part 1 do super well, I kind of expect Last of Us Part 2 to be really good. Kind of like
yeah.
with God of War, the new God of War that's coming out, like Ragnarok. I kind of like, yeah, that like that's just gonna do well. Like, I just have that expectation. So when I see a game on here, and even with like remake, like in my head, like I see Final Fantasy VII remake, I'm like, yeah, like that's gonna be good. I just like know it will. Or Doom. I've played other Doom games. Like I know Doom is gonna be dope. So to me, I kind of wish a game of the year was more of like a whoa, I didn't think that was gonna be dope. Like Ghost of Tsushima, I feel like a lot of people didn't really realize how great that was going to be, and it turned out to be awesome. And same with Hades, it just like came out of nowhere and it like knocked things out of the park. So I was kind of hoping that one of those would have definitely pulled through, because it just seemed like to me that the other games on the list, I kind of was like, yeah, I knew that was going to be a good game, and it was.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you because both Hades and Ghost of Tsushima IP, like brand new,
Mm-hmm.
and they both came out surprise, surprise, in very almost perfect states. I think
Yeah.
when because I got Ghost of Tsushima day one,
Yep.
and I throughout that entire game I never ran into any kind of bug, never kind of like I
Dude,
kind of had a really just solid experience, and that game is beautiful,
Ghost of Tsushima is
beautiful.
the first game I've ever heard about that had to patch their load times to be slower because they were too great. The load times were so fast that you couldn't read the tips, so they had to
Right.
slightly slow them down.
I know it's Sucker Punch really outdid themselves.
Yeah, it was great. It's
I was
great.
super excited for them. They really delivered.
Now they got funds to make the new
'Cause
Sly Cooper, so
the what?
now they got funds for a new
Now they
Sly
have time to
Cooper.
make the new Sly Cooper. We can only hope, man. I wish, man. But yeah, it's just so cool because we haven't seen Sucker Punch in so long, and to see them
Yeah.
come out with such a banger hit.
Yeah.
Obviously this is a game that's going to get a sequel. This is going to be a new like generational IP for them that'll keep them busy for probably another 5 to 10 years, I would
Yeah. Oh
imagine,
yeah.
before they move on to their next thing. But
Yeah.
it's just so great to see them still just bringing out the great stuff. And I love that they show love to their previous IP too. Like they
Oh
just like
yeah.
like the Sly Cooper fun stuff within there that you can find. You can
Yep.
find like Sly's bandana and
Yep. I love
um
it.
the infamous stuff, and then they do like little fun little Easter eggs for other first party PlayStation Studio games, and it was just all around great. I agree with you. Either Ghost of Tsushima or Hades would have been such a great pick.
Yeah, it would have been cool. It would have been cool.
Yeah, I love Last of Us Part 2. I know you didn't. So it doesn't make me mad that it won, but I feel like it was a little too divisive to
Yeah.
win that award. But
Yeah.
yeah.
One award that I was pretty excited to see is, and I guess it's kind of funny that we just mentioned it too, but for best ongoing, No Man's Sky won that one. And I'm really
Yeah.
like, that makes me happy. I'm really
Yeah,
glad
that was
that
awesome.
that game is just like pulling through. And hey, I kind of hope that I see Cyberpunk in that. No, another,
I do too. Man.
just like
I hope we see a redemption story for CD
for
Projekt
sure.
Red.
I mean, No Man's Sky, dude, it sucked. I mean, I
Yeah.
bought it for Peter for his birthday, and me and him were playing it, and it was so lame. And then recently, I think within the past year, I actually rebought it. I bought it on PC. I got all those like free updates and stuff, and the game is dang good. It's so much fun. and you get really
Yeah.
captivated. They finally added in, you know, like bases, a real multiplayer, and like flying's better. The looks of the planets are cooler, and there's actually kind of like a sandbox mode similar to Minecraft. Like the game is doing great, and I think of all the awards that were announced, that one just kind of put a nice little smile on my face. It was just cool to see them win an award and be like, yeah, good job. Like, you are no longer No Man Lie in my mind.
I know. And honestly, the guys, the winner, like I believe it was the creator, uh, had his speech was really great. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was like kind of emotional. He was like, it's kind of amazing that we were able to redeem ourselves
Oh yeah.
in making this game what we originally visualized it to be. Um, and he was just really thankful that they won that award. And it's just really awesome to see that they've come back and just really just knocked it out of the park with fixing that game. And I think it kind of brings that conversation that you brought up, Tyler, so perfectly full circle of like I agree. I hope the same thing happens for Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red, that this just becomes a redemption story for them, and that they come back from it. Um, but also there were some crazy cool announcements at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Um, the first one being not really a game announcement, but the new DLC character for Super Smash Brothers, um, which I believe after this one there's only going to be I think there's going to be like two more, and that's it. I think there'll be two more, and then it's done, and the game will not have any more characters, I believe.
How many have they done in each little section? It's been like 5 per.
Yeah, so they did. So Sephiroth is the 8. There was a first volume pack which is 5 characters,
Yeah.
and then the new pack will be 5. And they announced 2 before, and then now they've announced Sephiroth.
Okay.
And I remember I literally like my mouth dropped when you see Master Hand or whatever that thing is in the sky just get cut in 2, and you're like, oh, what the heck was that? Like what? And then you just hear the music, the iconic just Sephiroth, like One Winged Angel, and I could not believe my mind. I've watched so many like reaction videos on YouTube because people just freaked out about this, but they brought Sephiroth into the fight, and he looks freaking amazing, man. Like his sword length is like his attack length is super far, and
Yep.
the announcement got like a full CG trailer, which a lot of these characters never got. But
Leave it to
there's
Square
like so many
Enix, man.
iconic moments.
Gotta do it. That's such a Square
Oh,
Enix thing
yeah.
to do. Just like go all out.
Oh yeah, like Cloud, like and him clashing it. Like
Yeah.
for a second, you think like he like impales Mario. Like that
Oh,
was such a
He
crazy.
goes through his gene thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just really exciting because like it kind of now shows that Square's really wanting to play with Sakurai, and it kind of makes me hopeful that maybe one of these last 2 characters could be Sora. I don't know. I would love to see Sora join Super Smash Brothers.
That'd be interesting for sure.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And they're adding like additional stages from Final Fantasy VII and adding a buttload more music from Final Fantasy VII, and it just makes me super excited.
Yeah, another game that's kind of getting some other characters involved into it is actually Fortnite, which I thought this was kind of cool. They announced Master Chief from Halo is actually getting involved in Fortnite, which, hey, love or hate Fortnite, I don't know, man. They're doing some cool stuff. They recently have their new season just come out, and it's actually around Mandalorian. So the Mandalorian is in Fortnite. You can get the child as like a backpack. His like rifle is the pickaxe, and so the Mandalorian's in there. And then they had another trailer, which is just I think like a couple days or maybe a week after the new season of Fortnite happened. They launched the fact that Master Chief is coming to Fortnite, which I don't know, man. That's huge. Like a Halo character. Or the Halo character. So I thought that was kind of cool too. Another kind of like announcement of a new thing coming to a game, which unlike Um, unlike Smash Bros, it's not necessarily a character. It's like you get the skin, and so you look like you're Master Chief. I guess it's not actually Master Chief, but I mean, I don't know. I guess a debate could be made on
So
that one.
freaking awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was so dope. So you get to kind of make yourself look like Master Chief and play around Fortnite, and I didn't see it coming. And the trailer for it was pretty funny. It was like a there's like this
Red
like
versus blue.
huh?
Oh, it's like red versus blue, like the old
Yes.
like
Yep.
short videos we would watch
Yep.
growing up.
Yep, they had them. Ninja, who is that streamer that does Twitch or that does Fortnite, he was in it, which, hey, the fact that a Twitch streamer is now appearing in the video games trailer stuff, that's huge for just content creators in general. But it was just like, it was just fun to see that. It kind of makes me like smile seeing how much Fortnite gets involved. So it's just kind of cool to see it. But another fun game that I'm excited about is called Back for Blood, which is a game made by the company who did the Left 4 Dead series. If you're watching Twitch and YouTube now, you can actually see some creators get some like closed alpha, which actually, hey, I think the closed alpha is available this week. Or this weekend. I think you had to sign up for it, so it might be too late if you're listening in now. But it's that Left 4 Dead style, which if you don't know what that is, you should look it up. It's like an older game that is a zombie survival type of style game. They haven't had a Left 4 Dead in years, so hearing that Back for Blood's coming, it added some cool new like card mechanics for like abilities and stuff. It looks really fun, and I was a big fan. That was a big couch gaming thing that I would play with my friends over at his house. Left 4 Dead was, so that was cool to see. But the two big ones for me, the first one I kind of knew about, and that's Dragon Age. I'm a huge Dragon Age fan, and Dragon Age finally got its like actual like teaser released, and I'm hoping it's going to be good. Dragon Age Inquisition was the recent game that they had, and it kind of flopped in people's eyes. I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was great, but some people really hated it, which that kind of sucked. So I'm hoping this Dragon Age redeems itself. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then, funny enough, another game is also continuing after a complete flop of a game launch, and that is Mass Effect. Mass Effect is continuing, which is what it even said. There was no teaser. It literally just showed. I forgot the lady's name and like her race, but it's a pretty iconic. Huh?
Yeah, the blue lady. I know who you're talking about, but
I forget what their race is, but they show a photo of her, or a video of her, and it just said the words Mass Effect continuing, which I kind of thought was happening because the guy who created the series, he was like tweeting some things, and there was a lot of speculation. People were like, WTF is going on? And when that hit, I was like, yes! I was like, that's the confirmation we needed. Because Mass Effect Andromeda was balls. That game sucked. That was not a fun. Talk about immersion breaking. That game was awful, dude. And I am so excited, and I hope it does well, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's kind of exciting to see that BioWare is hopefully going back to their roots with Dragon Age.
I fear for him, man. I fear for him hardcore.
Yeah, no, I want that too for him, man, because I love the Mass Effect trilogy. I loved it so much. And, there's a lot of not even rumors at this point. I think it's confirmed that they're remastering them and releasing it next year on PS5 and Xbox
that'd be
One X.
awesome. I'd replay that.
Oh, yeah, especially with a new one coming out. I totally want to replay them and just be like, okay, like, let's see what this is all about. And it'd be kind of cool to see if they remaster the first game in a lot of ways, too, to kind of match 2 and 3, because honestly I loved the style of Mass Effect 2 and 3 more than 1. But either way, like those games are still hold up really well. Amazing RPGs. But yeah, I agree with you, man. That was an announcement I was really excited about. If it's okay, I had 3 other games I wanted to mention from their announcements before we move to the next topic.
Definitely.
So my first one was the Callisto Protocol, and this is from Striking Distance Studios. This is the company that made Dead Space. and I normally don't play horror games all that much, other than like Resident Evil 4, which I will totally get when they remake that. Um, I'm such a like I love horror, but I can't play horror. Like I get like so scared. Um, and Dead Space was one of those games where the story grabbed me so much, and I love a sci-fi setting. And uh, the creators, they were able to just make such an incredible story with Dead Space, and this game looks absolutely terrifying. This studio has some kind of magic way of creating like alien life that's just so like Lovecraftian in terms of like the imagery that they make. The like it's terrifying. You're walking down these like cold space corridors, and all of a sudden just this giant meat thing that like makes no like structural sense is coming at you with teeth out the wazoo, and it's absolutely disgusting and terrifying, and I'm all here for it. Like I don't know why I can play it, but it's probably because the story is so gripping. But I'm really excited to see them create a new IP that's set in space again, and I just hope that it has those same like inklings and love that they put into Dead Space. Um, the next one is Disco Elysium, the final cut. This is a game that I honestly have been wanting to play for a really long time on PC. Haven't gotten around to buying it, and now I honestly am excited because I get to wait and play like the definitive version of it. Um, and Disco Elysium is kind of like a semi-top down like detective story, very much like a visual novel in a lot of ways, where it's just a lot of text and talking. It's like a click action kind of game, and it's like very noir and right down my alley. And for any of you that haven't played Disco Elysium out there, I highly recommend it. Just from the raving reviews it's gotten perfect tens across the board. It looks like such an incredible game. And then finally, I have no idea what the heck this game is, but it looks freaking awesome. Is Crimson Desert. Um, and I don't know if you saw the trailer for this one, Tyler, but this game just like somehow your character is in multiple different like time periods all at once. It seems like at one point you're fighting like giant monsters, and the next you're in this like medieval setting or like modern day setting or a desert, and it just looks freaking crazy. But I'm here for it. I'm excited to see more about what it is. But Crimson Desert kind of gets my last nod as like a game that really caught my attention.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I saw that one. Honestly, one of the big things I can remember that night was the whole Ark thing that had like Vin Diesel, and that was just oh gosh, that was just weird. If you want to see that, Google. I think it's like an Ark TV show or something like that, and Vin Diesel's
Something
in
like
it, and I don't know.
It's strange, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's about as weird as you can imagine it will be. I don't know if it's going to be a hit, but we'll see.
Time will tell.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So, Tyler, heading into the final topic of the night, I'm really excited to hear about this, about Twitch banning words. So,
yeah.
tell me what's going on with this, because I'm actually really excited.
All right. So, one, I guess I'll preface that the whole saying about Twitch banning words is kind of a little cash grab, because it was technically a town hall meeting that Twitch had, and this was just a small part of what went on. So I think it was on Wednesday, the 16th of this week. Twitch had its like first ever town hall meeting. If you're not familiar with what a town hall meeting is kind of when typically like a company gets together and like meets with all its people, and you kind of just hear, hey, this is what's going on. What's your questions that you have for us? How can we answer? Kind of like a typical, small town hall getting together, asking all that kind of jazz. So Twitch did their first one because there has been a lot of issues going on I've mentioned them in the past. Things like DMCAing has been a big issue. Kind of one that's really sparked recently has been the whole DMCA. It's been a problem for years, but of course now they decide that they want to do something about it, which is another topic for another day. But during this town hall, they did address some of the DMCA stuff, and they apologized, and they were like, oh yeah, we're sorry, we're working on it, yada yada. And I guess some side of it can say, I'm glad that they're working on it. Another part is saying, cool, this has been a problem for like years, way to be late to the party, blah 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 blah. So that all was happening. They were doing some Q&As, but just a very interesting thing, I guess, like, came out of it. It has great intentions, but Twitch decided to ban the use of the words simp, virgin, and incel. Now, again, the reason why they're doing this makes 100% sense to me. The reason why they're doing it is for harassment issues. They are saying that they do not condone streamers using these words in ways that is like, oh, I am bullying you, right? That's what they're trying to say. Now, the idea of calling someone a simp or a virgin or an insult or an incel is like insulting. I don't know. The whole gaming community, there's toxicity here and there, and I guess nowadays that can definitely hurt people. I definitely want to be open to any people's perspective on what it might be. It was just kind of funny that like all these other issues are going on, and then Twitch was randomly just like, hey, we're banning the word simp now. You can't call people simps because it's mean. And it's like, wait, what? What about the other issues that have been going on? Oh, yeah. No. But anyway, so we're banning these words now. Streamers can't say it. And it's like, so this is where the priorities are at right now? And it was just kind of like, I don't know. There's some other things that people are talking about, how it's like, there's a lot of stuff going on in like the LGBT community and things where people are going to those people's streams, making fun of them, using totally worse words than the three that they're trying to call out to ban. And like the other communities talking about how these people are like super toxic and they say a bunch of racist things. And it was just kind of odd to me of like, who just sat in a room and was like, yeah, those three words, we got to ban those. It's just like, what? So it was an interesting thing. I think like there's some funniness that goes around calling someone a simp, which I guess like for those who might not know, a simp is like a term of, I don't know. It's like a person who like does anything for someone else, even though they're not in a relationship, but they want to be, so they like bow down to this person, I guess, in a way. It kind of started out as like a meme. It's a very memey kind of like word, but I guess nowadays people are using it insulting, so they're deciding to ban it. I don't know. It just seems odd. The way they were talking about it and driving it, I was like, I get it. I think this is fine, but why is this much time about talking about this? What about the other stuff that have been going on for years that like we're still trying to figure out with DMCA, streamers getting banned because they're playing these games that have like music in it that is banning them because of copyrights? And what about like your platform? What are other new features that you're adding to it to make sure things are working out? And they talked about ads, and I don't know. It was just an interesting town hall. I'll say that much.
That's fascinating, man. Like, what?
Yeah.
So what is incel, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what?
Oh, so an incel is just like someone who like they say like they can't have a romantic or sexual partner, and so it's like they're like involuntarily like a celibate, I guess. It's just like a weird term that someone just uses. It's like, you know, you're probably in like some Call of Duty match and someone just calls you one because they're mad, and then like, I don't know, it doesn't really mean much, but It's just kind of like that type of terminology. I would say that simp, virgin, and incel, they're like roughly a very similar meaning between those three words,
Ah,
which is probably why they chose those three. But again, it was just a weird thing that they kind of like brought up. It kind of caught everybody like out of left field, like, oh, okay, that's a thing now, sure.
interesting. Well, man, I think we have finished out our main topics of today. I wanted to go into games we're playing and also
Mm.
just games that are out right now or upcoming games that we wanted to kind of make everyone aware of to kind of keep on their radar if they're looking for new games to play.
Yeah, definitely. So I know as far as like games we're playing right now, I was playing Cyberpunk. I kind of already talked about that and how that's going. But two other games that I'm playing, which is really just like one other game, but I am sort of playing the other one, is Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Immortals Fenyx Rising. It started with me playing Valhalla, and then all of a sudden I tried Fenyx Rising, and I gotta say, it's pulled me in so much. It is the Breath of the Wild that I wished I had. It's a great game. I really suggest if you're into that Breath of the Wild style of gameplay, you'll love this game. It fixes a lot of the kind of annoyances that I had with Breath of the Wild personally. The weapons don't break and all that kind of jazz. But to me, it's like Breath of the Wild meets Ratchet and Clank, where there's just like a funny kind of like Captain Quark character that's talking as a narrator around the whole story. There's just super funny moments. The combat's really clean. The look of it's very beautiful. I enjoy Greek mythology. It's all about Greek mythology. And so you are a character who is trying to fight I forgot the person's name. It was the one who like killed the Titans. You are fighting him, and you have the help of like Hermes and a few other gods. And your goal is to be this like human who is now trying to kind of like help out the world, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's great. It is so much fun. It is so much fun playing, having an absolute blast. There's like fun mounts. There's fun daily quests. You have the same like stamina bar and health bar, similar to how those like Breath of the Wild style games go. There's a map. The map is huge. There's a bunch of little small secrets that you can find and do like side missions. It's definitely from Ubisoft because it's just like Assassin's Creed games where when you go to a very high point in the game, you see everything around the map and it tells you like, hey, there's a chest here. Hey, there's a point of interest here. Hey, there's a this there. There's collectibles. There's fun audio. There's fun music. The voices are really cool. It's just an all-around good game that caught me out of like nowhere. I didn't think that I'd be buying two Ubisoft games in the same week that I was gonna fall in love with. So those are the two that the one I would say I've been mainly playing.
Greek mythology and Norse mythology. Roll one. or two. I did want to ask a quick question about Immortals. Would you say there's a good amount of story? And when you say that weapons don't break, because that was honestly a big frustration for me in Breath of the Wild as well. Does that mean you only get like a certain amount of weapons that you just kind of use forever throughout combat, and that you really only have to worry about picking up like components for like cooking or building gear or anything like that?
Yeah, so weapons do not break. And it is like what you were saying, like the weapons of Breath of the Wild, you'd have them and they would shatter and you had to find another one. It is that you just find a chest, you do some type of small mission around the chest to unlock it, and each weapon gives you a different bonus. One weapon might say, oh, you get better quick attack hits. And then another weapon might say, oh, you get stronger strong hits, or it might say you recover health on killing, you recover stamina on killing. They all have different attributes that, depending on like actually your battle, other weapons might be better than other ones. So if you might be playing something where it's like, oh, I need to grind out like a certain item, you might switch to your weapon that spawns or drops more consumables. And then you might say, oh, I want to sneak, so I might attach the helmet piece that gives me more sneak damage. Oh, now I'm fighting a unique boss. I'm going to actually put the armor on that gives me more defense against unique bosses. Oh, wait, I'm done with that one. I'm going to use the armor that gives me more stamina now. So it's all different armor pieces for different things. And another little touch that I loved is that, let's say you get a weapon that you think looks dope, but the ability is kind of trash. You can transmog any item to look like a different one. So if you have a sword that you really love and you like the look, like you like swinging it around and how it works, but you love the look of a different sword, you can make that one that works well for you look like that cooler weapon. And same with armor. If you're really wanting to sneak, but you want your character to look this certain way, you can make your sneaking armor look the way that you want it to look, which I thought was like a cool little touch.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because like I know in Breath of the Wild, some of the coolest armor I had would have like no defense, and I would just get destroyed by monsters. And I was like, well, that kind of sucks, because like I like the look of it, but I kind of wish that I could, still be good armor. So that was a cool, very small feature that I fell in love with. I love the fact that I could just change the look of things on the fly. And that's the same thing for your wings. You have a wing similar, like you had the glider in Breath of the Wild. So you have different wings that do different things, but you can make them look like whatever you want. There's a ton of different mounts in the game. They're all typically horses that maybe like look different. But yeah, that's how the weapons and armor go.
Nice. Well, I honestly don't have too much to say on my front. I was going to play Cyberpunk 2077, but then with the nightmare of the console release, I quickly backed away from that. I did finally get access back to my Trails of Cold Steel 4 game, though, so that was really exciting, and got to just took a month, but was able to jump back into that game, and I've been playing it steadily for the last week or so. Feel like I'm getting close to Act 3, which is the final act of the game. But I've talked Trails to death on our podcast already, so I won't keep doing it. But I mean, it's been excellent so far. And in between that, I've been playing Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, the remake, on the Nintendo Switch with my wife, and we've really been enjoying that game. I love the graphics that they chose for it, making it kind of look like a fun little toy set. It's a remake of the original like top-down Zelda games that you would play on Game Boy, and I've really been enjoying it. I never played Link's Awakening, so kind of getting to play this fresh new look at this game I've never played. It's been really fun. And I'm such a huge fan of Zelda games anyway. Like I would take any Zelda game other than a few outliers, but it's just been kind of fun to take a break from the RPGs and just play something that's pretty steady.
Yeah.
And I would say that's kind of what I've been playing right now.
Nice. Yeah, I was looking at the list of upcoming games as well for like December. Not too much that I know about. So it looks like yesterday, or I guess I'll read from the start of the week, which was the 14th. Let's see. Among Us came out for the Switch. Collection of Saga, Final Fantasy Legend. I don't know that one. MXGP 2020, Demo Reborn, Mishitsu no Sacrifice, Neptunia Reverse, Double Dragon Neon, Override 2, Super Mech League, Super Meat Boy Forever is coming up, Who's Your Daddy, Earth Defense, World Brothers, The Hong Kong Massacre. I'm not sure about too much of these games, but this is, I guess, what's coming up. If
Yeah,
you're interested.
we're definitely at like the bottom of the barrel in
Yeah.
terms of games.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Uh,
sure. So if you're interested, we got the wiki links inside of like our descriptions and stuff. If you're curious, I assume wiki probably has these things updating all the time. So if things change, but any other things that you kind of know about that are coming out?
Honestly, next year is still kind of a blank slate, other than just the overall like coming 2021 for
Mm,
like the next Horizon Zero Dawn game, God of War, and I'm really just kind of speaking to PlayStation titles, but we don't really have a lot of solid dates for with it being now the next gen kind of layout. Usually, the first year of next gen console is pretty sparse.
yeah.
So I would not be surprised if next year is not as great as this year. I honestly would be kind of shocked if God of War Ragnarok released next year. Same with Horizon. If they do, then it's definitely going to be a great year for gaming. But I would just be shocked if they released both of those in one year. Um, but other than that, really the only game that I know that has a definitive release date at this time is actually on the Switch, and that's in, I believe, February. Let me see if I can find the exact date. I want to say it's February 24th. Let me double check here on the wiki. So it is the 26th, 2 days off. Is Bravely Default 2.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, and that's coming on the Nintendo Switch, and that's a JRPG, very like turn-based style. But I'm a huge fan of the Bravely Default games on the
Yeah.
3DS,
Yeah, I really want
and
that one.
they're now releasing a console game, and I highly recommend anyone that's never played those games. Definitely, if you have a 3DS, check them out, um, and get prepped for Bravely Default 2.
Yeah, for sure. So another things around the realm that we like to do towards the end of our podcast. We talk about the games that are coming up, games we're playing, and we also like to leave off with what we call the entertainment of the week. So this one is around anything that we kind of suggest. Could be books, movies, shows, games, anime, manga, honestly, activities maybe too. Really anything along, I would say, hobbies and interests that we have. This is kind of where
Yeah.
we like to suggest some stuff and let you all know kind of what we're doing. And hey, you should try this out. So, Max, for the entertainment of the week, what do you got for us?
So this week I have another fantasy book series. I'm trying to spread them out between our podcasts. Um, I believe the only one I've done before this was the First Law series, but this one is The Wheel of Time, which is written by Robert Jordan. It's probably more well known, I would say, in the fantasy realm than the First Law. Um, but Wheel of Time is a very special series to me. This was kind of my first real foray into uh, fantasy novels, and this is definitely an epic tale. This series spans over 14 books. Um, Robert Jordan sadly passed away before he could finish his final book, and Brandon Sanderson, who's now my favorite fantasy author at this time, kind of picked up the pen and finished his story. And to his credit, pretty much wrote the last three books in the same writing style that Robert Jordan did in a lot of ways.
That's
Obviously,
impressive.
there was some, yeah, it's super impressive that he, like, it almost felt seamless. Like, there were times throughout the three last books that you could kind of tell it was written by someone else, but it wasn't jarring. And
Mm,
it was just a really lovely kind of motion of him to finish out his work. And that was kind of what introduced me to Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere, which is what I will definitely be recommending that at a later date. Um, but this is just Wheel of Time is kind of that. It's like that middle ground of in between high fantasy of the old age of Lord of the Rings and modern fantasy, which is more grimdark and more, I would say, like technologically advanced. This is kind of that sweet spot where the generation of fantasy was changing in fantasy novels, and just the characters of this series are just so well written. Characters of Rand, Perrin, and Matt, and all three of them have different paths that they go down within these 14 books, have amazing abilities, have amazing things happen to them, have responsibilities thrust upon them. And of course, there are other, I could go on, there's hundreds and hundreds of characters in these books, all intertwined. And this is just such a great fantasy series that for anyone that loves Lord of the Rings, you will love this series. If you have the time to step into just this giant time investment that these games would, or that these books would be, I should say. But I cannot recommend Wheel of Time highly enough. It's just such an amazing epic tale of just really good high fantasy.
Yeah, I kind of like that you suggest all these all these books because it gives me books to read, which is great. I love it. So definitely enjoy any type of book that Max brings up. Definitely would recommend, highly recommend any book that he brings up. Just kind of throwing that one out there for people listening in.
Dang, that's high praise.
But I think with that, we're gonna be concluding episode 8 of the podcast. And getting a little
Wait, what
late.
about your entertainment?
Oh, did I not say it?
No, I don't think so.
I thought I said it. Wow, I'm sorry. Yeah, I totally said it in my head. I guess I'm getting that tired. That's funny. So my entertainment of the week is definitely different than anything I've kind of talked about, I guess, on the podcast. It is a Netflix series that like is just straight kind of like romance drama kind of stuff, and it's called Virgin River. I think Max is watching it. I think Julie was telling me that you guys have watched a little bit of it.
Yeah, we're on season 2 now. Yeah.
It's literally Grey's Anatomy meets small town. And like, you know, it's just typical. Every episode there's like there's like always one main plot and one main subplot. And if the main plot is about to resolve, the subplot brings up some drama, and then the next episode follows the subplot of the last one, making that the new plot, and then the subplot arises again, where it then just keeps following the last subplot of the previous episode. That's pretty much how they do these shows. It's good, though. It's pretty entertaining, and I've binge watched season 1 in like 2 days, so I figured, you know what?
Dang, dude.
I might as well recommend it because apparently it's catching my eye. So I would say,
you know,
Grey's Anatomy meeting small town is probably the best description I could think of for it.
yeah, I mean, hey, if I can recommend Outlander, you can definitely recommend Virgin River. So no shame.
Man, I cannot believe I totally thought I said mine. Wow, that's hilarious. I was in my head like, oh yeah, nice. So wow. Okay.
Dude, you're totally fine. This is probably like our longest episode we've ever done. So
oh boy, good stuff.
But I think with that, viewers, we have wrapped our episode 8 of Calling All Nerds. And if Tyler, if you're okay with that, I just wanted to say just thank you all so much for watching our show, listening in, just bearing with us as we try out different things on how we want to do the show consistently in the new year. And we're just excited to see what 2021 holds. And that we're just hoping that it's going to be a better year for everyone all around, because this year has been a doozy.
Yeah.
And we... I'm thankful to you, Tyler, for just being willing to do this with me, because honestly, whenever we have this going on in our weeks, this is one of the best parts of my week, to just be able to discuss the things I love and with one of my best friends, and so I really appreciate that we get the opportunity to do this, and even if it's just for like 5 people that listen in, you know, worth it for me because it's a good outlet. Because Lord knows my wife hates hearing about all the nerdy stuff I want to talk about. So
Yeah, man, it has definitely been a lot of fun. I've definitely enjoyed it. I guess one thing to say for people too, if you're listening, we have changed our platform. We were on Twitch. We are now on YouTube. A big thing for that is time-wise on how to be able to get content to you all faster. It was definitely harder to get our podcast up on YouTube just because of the time it takes to get the video feed and edit it and do all that jazz. It is a lot easier to just take a video, export audio, and just upload it because Max and I already have really decent mics to where there's not much post-production needed on it. So we switched to YouTube for the purpose of the fact that we go live on YouTube. You guys can watch us live still, but then once we're done streaming, boom, it is now on YouTube for everybody. And it takes, I don't know, like less than 30 minutes to get the audio extracted. So a big thing for what we wanted to do, we wanted to make sure, one, we're consistent with stuff, and that two, we can get the content to you all in a good way. So that is why we have shifted to YouTube. I'm kind of excited. I'm hoping that this kind of helps kind of broaden some more things on YouTube. I think it'll be fun to be able just to have our streams on here, have our episodes, and they're just automatically put on YouTube. That's a really nice feature that they have, at least. So that's, if you're watching, we tweeted about it. That's kind of why we are here. Just kind of wanted to throw that out to people. If you were wondering, oh, what about the Twitch? Yeah, we're doing the YouTube thing now. We're going to see how the YouTube stuff goes, but we're still uploading Spotify, Apple podcast, and our Simplecast. We're still doing that. Still definitely taking suggestions on any other podcast sites maybe that we're missing out on that we should be going to as well. But I think that'd be the only update I could have kind of around some changes that we've made recently. But I think, isn't getting anything else to add?
no, I mean, I was just gonna follow up with saying, if you are new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe, hit that notification bell, give us a like, whatever you want to do, just so that you can be notified of whenever a new episode is released for those that are listening outside of this live scenario. And that, just as Tyler mentioned, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, just by searching Calling All Nerds. We're there. You'll find our well-produced Tyler's just signal into the orange sunset sky is our current slogan. And we're just excited to do this, and we hope that everyone enjoyed our holiday episode before we end out the year and take some well-needed time off from work and from this. And we're just excited to see what the new year brings, and hope everyone has a happy holiday.
For sure. And look forward to talking to you all in 2021. With that, I say peace out, my friends. Have a good one.
Have a good one, nerds. Take care.